Yo, man, I talk about you, no Boomhauer, man, but then no Friday, then no Freebees, man. Yo, what is up? It is Boomhauer, and on this episode of Friday Freebies, I wanted to go through my top 5 favorite summer bass lures. So I have all of my lures sitting here. I'm gonna go through and talk about each one and give a little short bit on why I like using them. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we? So we're gonna work our way from the top of the water to the bottom of the water of what I like to use during summer bass fishing. So in the summer, the water's really hot here in Texas. The water, I've been out in the water at sunrise and the water's 86, 85 degrees in the small tanks that, you know, around 12 feet deep when I fish in. So I like to fish from really, 4 to 5 feet range. That's what I like to call shallows. And fishing topwater, I love a buzzbait in the summertime. Buzzbaits in the summertime, they work fabulously. You could toss them underneath docks in the shade, and that's one key thing I will say multiple times in this video. Fish the shade. Fish the shade. Fish the shade. Fishing the shade during the summertime is very important because just like us humans who like being in the shade when it's 98 degrees outside, the bass also like to be in the shade. And throwing a buzzbait on top of a moss bank that will catch some shade underneath at the bottom of that moss bank, it'll give a slightly bit of shade, and sometimes it'll be inside the moss catching some of that shade. A buzzbait is a fabulous way to get some of them awesome topwater strikes. So my next topwater lure is a topwater frog. This one happens to be the Sexy Frog by Strike King. I love this frog because it's fairly inexpensive. I normally trim some of these long tails on them. I trim them to about right here. This one happens to be a brand new one because I actually just went and bought it not a few days ago. But this is a great way to work lily pads. They love lily pads and working strong moss banks. Moss banks that are completely on top of the water that you can't get a lure into unless you want to pull up big things of moss. This is a great way. But a small tip on this, be patient. Because a lot of the times a bass will come up and hit it and he'll miss it and you'll jerk it and your lure will fly through the air. Be patient when fishing a frog. Let the fish take it. Wait until you feel that tug before you snatch on it. But this is also a fabulous lure I love using. I've caught multiple big bass on this exact lure right here. So moving down from the top water, down a little bit deeper in the midsection. The midsection, I love fishing, and you know me if you watch my channel. I'm a massive fan of the H&H spinnerbait. And this is how they actually look in the package when they come. The hooks are not actually attached to the lure. You have to attach them yourself. But a spinnerbait, bigger spinnerbaits in the summertime will work really well because the bass are most of the time suspended, or they're either down deep in the mid-late afternoons, and this is a great way to reach down into those mid-level water depths and get those big fish to bite. Up under docks, in shade. Again, shade is a big thing to do and a big thing to fish in the summertime. This is a great way to do it. Fish the shade with a spinnerbait and you will catch fish. I promise you, you will catch fish. When that water level gets up to around 89, throw a spinnerbait, you catch one. And H&H, I love using it. It's an old style lure, but I love them. So the next thing in the mid depth range, a little bit deeper in the mid depth, is a rattle trap, a lipless crankbait. I love fishing crankbaits, lipless crankbaits, because it gets a lot of action and it's easy to work your way through a school. On schooling fish, especially when they're chasing shad. A lot of the tanks I fish, even some of the smaller tanks like the Marlin Country Club and the gravel pit I fish, actually have shad in them. They're not just mainly perch like you see a lot of your stock tanks. They're big enough that they can support shad, and the shad do spawn. And when the shad spawn in the summertime, I'm telling you, this baby right here, it kills. Find something that's similar to this color. Black with the big eyes. I've never really seen a big difference in it personally. But something that resembles shad on a lipless crankbait, this works great. And another tip for this lure, don't reel it straight. Give it in bursts. Let you want it in bursts of 3. So really, you want it to go while you're reeling it, and that works a lot better for catching big bass, from my experience. And finally, the last lure I really like using to reach down deeper to the bottom of the tank, but not at the bottom, not bouncing off the bottom, is a crankbait. I love crankbaits because you can cover a lot of water with them and cover it fast. And you can jump down deep. This one is a 7 to 9 foot diving crankbait. I also have other ones for deeper water. This crankbait dives down to around 10 to 12. And I also have some deeper ones that are 12 to 15. And I have one that dives down to 20. Those are for my striper when I go striper fishing. But a crankbait works really well in the summertime because you get to find the fish. And when you find the fish with these, you can grab some of these other lures, some of these rattle traps, some of these lipless crankbaits and spinnerbaits, and use them to catch the fish. This is a great lure to tie on early in the morning when you're running your buzz bait. At the same time, you can run one of these to see if you can catch some of those deeper bass, or see if you can see if any happen to be suspended along the way, because you can find some that will jump in the mid-level. That's why I love a crankbait, because I could tie 3 crankbaits on my poles. I have 3 different poles. I could tie 3 crankbaits on. One that dives 4 foot, one that dives 9 foot, one that dives 12 to 15. And I could cover every level of that water. That's why I love fishing crankbaits. So, there you have it. My top 5 lures. Buzzbait, a sexy frog, love frog fishing. My spinnerbait, lipless crankbait, and a regular crankbait. That's all I have for this episode of Friday Freebies. If I want to hear what your favorite bass lures are, leave your top 3 or top 5 or top 1. I'm happy to hear you one. Leave them down in the comments below and tell me how you fish them. Tell me where you fish them, and tell them what's your last biggest bass you caught. I'm curious to see. So that's all I have for you. I'm out of here. See ya. Yo, man, dang, don't. Bye.